Some truths don't arrive with noise. They arrive quietly in ordinary moments and stay heavy in the heart long after. On a clear morning in a calm American neighborhood, one such moment unfolded, simple, silent, and unforgettable. An elderly garbage-collecting woman stood on the sidewalk with a broom in her hands while laughter echoed behind her. And from inside a parked car nearby, a millionaire watched his world shift forever. Before we go deeper, if you believe kindness still matters, if you believe in second chances and treating every human being with dignity, please like this video, share it, comment your thoughts, and subscribe to Kindness Corner. Also, tell us in the comments where you're watching from. We love hearing from you. Her name was Margaret Lewis, 68 years old. She was short, slim, and slightly bent from decades of honest work. Every weekday morning, she wore the same faded pink sanitation jacket, pulled a cap over her thinning gray hair, and stepped out with quiet determination. She didn't expect gratitude. She didn't expect respect. She only believed in doing her job with care. Margaret had raised her children alone after life took an unexpected turn years ago. Now retired benefits were not enough, so she worked part-time with the city sanitation department. The streets were familiar to her. The looks were familiar, too. Some people smiled politely. Others looked away. Many didn't see her at all. That morning, Margaret was cleaning near a row of garbage bins outside a modern apartment complex. The sun was bright, the air calm, everything ordinary. She swept slowly, focused on her work when laughter drifted toward her from behind. Standing near the entrance was Ashley Carter, 28 years old, confident, well-dressed, and comfortable in a life that had never asked her to struggle. She wore a knee-length red dress and spoke animatedly with friends, her voice light, careless, and loud. To her, the morning was just another moment to enjoy. What Ashley didn't realize was that her father-in-law, Richard Carter, sat quietly inside his car across the street. Richard was a self-made millionaire respected in business circles across the state. He had built everything from nothing. Yet success had distanced him from the everyday lives of ordinary people. That morning he had come to visit his son unexpectedly, and instead he found himself witnessing something he could not ignore. As Ashley noticed Margaret near the bins, her expression changed, not with concern, but with irritation. She gestured casually, making remarks that carried more comfort than compassion. Her friends laughed along, unthinking, amused. It wasn't cruelty in a loud sense. It was worse. It was indifference. Margaret paused for a moment. Not because she was afraid, but because she was used to stepping aside. She tightened her grip on the broom, lowered her eyes, and quietly moved away to give them space. No words, no reaction, just dignity learned through years of being overlooked. From his car, Richard felt something heavy settle in his chest. He wasn't watching a stranger. He was watching the woman his son loved. The woman who lived in comfort built by values he thought he had passed down. And in that moment, he realized something painful. Money had protected his family from hardship, but it had also softened their understanding of humanity. Margaret finished her task and walked down the street, her figure growing smaller with every step. Richard watched until she disappeared around the corner. He sat there longer than he planned, replaying the scene in his mind, wishing he hadn't seen it, but knowing he needed to. That evening, Richard invited his son and daughter-in-law over for dinner. His tone was calm, unchanged. Ashley arrived smiling, unaware. The conversation was normal at first. Work, plans, everyday talk. Then Richard gently shifted the subject. He spoke about respect, about how a society is measured by how it treats those who do the quiet work. He described the elderly sanitation worker outside the apartment building that morning. Slowly, Ashley's smile faded. Recognition crept into her eyes. Richard didn't accuse. He didn't raise his voice. He spoke with disappointment, not anger. He reminded her that dignity doesn't come from clothing, neighborhoods, or status. It comes from character. And one day, the values she practiced would shape not only her life, but the family she was part of. Ashley tried to explain, but the words felt empty even to her. That night, she couldn't sleep. The image of Margaret, silent, calm, and unseen, kept returning. For the first time, she questioned herself, not because she was told to, but because she needed to. Change didn't happen overnight, but awareness had begun. Days later, Ashley saw Margaret again on the same street. This time, Ashley was alone, no friends, no laughter. She hesitated, then walked toward the elderly woman and gently offered a bottle of water. Margaret looked up, surprised. Their eyes met, one carrying quiet strength, the other carrying reflection. Margaret accepted the water with a nod. No bitterness, no judgment, just grace. That moment stayed with Ashley. Over the following weeks, she began noticing people she once passed without thought. She listened more. She spoke less. She learned names. Richard watched quietly from the background, saying nothing, understanding that real change cannot be forced. It must grow. One morning, Margaret noticed something different on her route. A familiar woman in a red dress stood nearby, no longer laughing, simply watching respectfully. Margaret nodded politely and returned to her work, broom steady in her hands. If this story touched your heart, if it made you reflect on how we treat those who serve our communities every day, please like this video and share it with someone who believes kindness still matters. And before we end, we have one special request. Comment below one small act of respect or kindness you promise to practice this week. Your words might inspire someone you've never met. Because sometimes the most powerful lesson doesn't come from wealth or authority. It comes from an elderly woman with a broom quietly reminding the world what dignity truly looks like.